The story follows Brenda, a high school student and leader of a tough group of girls. When her deaf sister, Heather, is brutally attacked by a gang called the Scars, led by Jake, Brenda becomes determined to seek justice on her own. Fueled by rage, she embarks on a relentless quest for revenge, hunting down each member of the gang until it leads to a final showdown. The movie begins with a fun night out for the girls, as they wander around the city together. Brenda is a rebellious high school student and a member of a close-knit girl group called the Satins. The group includes Rachel, Stella, Francine, Stevie, and Maria. That evening, they head out together on Hollywood Boulevard, joined by Brenda's younger sister, Heather. Heather is an innocent girl who became deaf and mute after their father's death, and Brenda is fiercely protective of her. As they walk and talk, the girls discuss Francine's upcoming wedding and share in the excitement for her big day. Meanwhile, a dangerous and reckless gang called the Scars is also roaming the same area. The group consists of 4 members: Jake, Vince, Red, and Fargo. They are involved in drug trafficking and have little regard for the law. While driving Jake's flashy convertible through the streets, they spot Brenda and her friends. Jake, the gang's leader, decides to follow them, thinking it would be fun to harass the girls. As they speed up, they nearly hit the group at a street corner, causing Heather, who cannot hear or speak, to fall to the ground in fear. Brenda quickly rushed to help Heather up and angrily scolded the boys for their reckless behavior. Jake realized his mistake and apologized, but still tried to speak to Brenda in a friendly manner. He wanted her to spend the evening with him, but Brenda firmly refused, wanting nothing to do with him or his strange friends. After the near accident and Jake's unwanted flirting, the girls decided to get revenge. They came up with a daring plan to steal Jake's convertible. While the Scars were distracted by a mix of excitement and unease, the girls managed to snatch the car and drive off, laughing with delight. But they didn't stop there. They took the prank further by filling the convertible with trash old garbage bags, fast food wrappers, and anything else they could find. After making the car a filthy mess, they abandoned it in the middle of the street, proud of their small act of revenge. When Jake and his gang discovered what had happened, they were both furious and humiliated. The boys immediately began plotting their own revenge, determined to get back at Brenda and her friends for disgracing them. One day, while Jake and his gang were hanging around the school, they started causing trouble by harassing a student. They pushed and taunted the boy, trying to show off their strength. However, their antics were quickly interrupted when the principal arrived. Tired of their behavior, he warned them to leave the campus immediately, or he would have no choice but to call the police. Jake and his gang backed off, but it was clear they hadn't given up on their plan for revenge. Meanwhile, inside the school gym, the girls were in the middle of a workout session with their instructor. They remained focused until a young man named Wes appeared, changing the atmosphere. Wes tried to flirt with Brenda, clearly attracted to her and eager for her attention. However, Brenda wasn't interested and ignored him, choosing to focus on her workout instead. At that moment, Wes's girlfriend, Cindy, suddenly entered the gym. Seeing Wes flirt with Brenda, Cindy became furious, mistaking Brenda's indifference for interest. She accused Brenda of trying to steal Wes, then confronted her in anger, creating a scene in front of everyone. However, Brenda stayed calm, not wanting to escalate the situation. When the workout ended, the instructor reminded everyone to shower. The girls headed toward the locker room, but Brenda slowed her pace. She stopped when she saw her sister, Heather, arriving at school. Heather smiled sweetly and handed Brenda a small gift. Brenda hugged her tightly and thanked her, clearly touched by her sister's thoughtfulness. Brenda gently told Heather to wait there while she took a quick shower. As everyone left the gym and the area grew quiet, a member of the Scars appeared. It was Red. He saw Heather standing alone and noticed her innocence and sweetness. Red decided to approach her. Heather, too trusting, didn't realize his true intentions. She began communicating with him in sign language, hoping to be friendly. Red pretended to respond, but soon his real motives showed as he moved closer, trying to get near her. Realizing something was wrong, Heather panicked, quickly pushing him away and running toward the door, desperate to escape. But before she could get far, Jake, Fargo, and Vince appeared, blocking her way. They surrounded her, leaving no chance to get out. Terrified and helpless, she tried to fight back, but the gang quickly overpowered her. They dragged her inside, beat her, and assaulted her, leaving Heather in extreme pain and overwhelming fear. Meanwhile, tensions between Cindy and Brenda flared up again in the locker room. Still upset over Wes, Cindy confronted Brenda, and the two argued fiercely. Soon, the argument turned physical as they shoved each other and shouted. The fight was quickly interrupted when the principal, alerted to the commotion, arrived. He sternly warned that if they continued, both would face the risk of expulsion. Realizing the seriousness of the situation, they reluctantly stopped, though the conflict between them remained unresolved. After meeting with the principal, Brenda and her friends decided to check the auditorium to find Heather. When they arrived, she was nowhere to be seen, so they began searching and calling her name, but there was no response. One of the girls happened to walk into the dressing room and found Heather lying unconscious on the floor, clearly in pain. Her body was covered in bruises, and several bones were broken, leaving the group in shock. At the hospital, the doctor informed them that Heather had fallen into a coma due to severe injuries. Brenda and her mother were devastated, unable to comprehend what had happened to Heather. Overcome with grief and anger, Brenda vowed to find the person responsible for hurting her innocent sister and was determined to seek justice for her. That night, the group of friends decided to go to a local nightclub to lift Brenda's spirits. Although she remained heartbroken and saddened by Heather's condition, her friends stayed by her side to comfort her. They danced and talked, doing their best to bring her a little joy. While they were sitting together, Francine excitedly talked about her upcoming wedding and shared her plans. She intended to move away with her husband after the wedding to start a new life. The girls cheered for her, happy to see her so full of hope for the future. After a while, Francine excused herself to go to the restroom. In her absence, the Scars gang entered the nightclub and sat at a nearby table, still angry and looking to cause trouble. When Francine returned, Fargo spotted her and began harassing her, showing no concern for the fact that she was pregnant. He grabbed Francine roughly, filling her with fear and anger. She fought back, and a brawl quickly broke out as the other girls rushed to help her. In the chaos, Francine managed to snatch Jake's knife and slashed his face. She broke free from Fargo's grip. Bleeding and humiliated, Jake and the other scarred thugs were stunned by her resistance, and the gang left the nightclub. The next day, Brenda sat in class, her mind adrift in a hollow void. Her eyes were fixed on the pages before her, yet no words took shape. The lesson faded into nothingness, drowned out by the relentless images of the criminals who had hurt her sister, Heather. After class, Mrs. Young, Brenda's teacher, sensed the weight pressing down on her. She approached quietly, her presence gentle yet purposeful, determined to uncover the truth and reach the wounded soul before her. Brenda, still wounded, gave a curt reply. She had nothing to say and walked out of the classroom without another word. In the locker room, as she was about to leave, Wes stepped toward her, trying to capture her attention. He confessed his feelings, telling her he truly liked her. Brenda froze, unsure how to respond. At that very moment, Cindy entered and caught sight of them talking. Jumping to conclusions, she assumed Brenda was trying to steal Wes away. Jealousy ignited like a spark to gasoline. Cindy's face twisted in rage as she screamed at Brenda, accusing her of shamelessly flirting with her boyfriend. In class, Cindy still hadn't let go of what happened before. She kept hurling crude remarks at Brenda, trying to provoke her. At first, Brenda stayed silent, determined to avoid trouble. But then Cindy crossed the line, delivering a vicious insult, mocking the time Heather had taunted Brenda's little sister. That was the breaking point. Brenda snapped. They clashed in the middle of the classroom, voices rising, tension erupting like a storm. The chaos drew the principal in. This time, he'd had enough. No more warnings, With cold finality, he suspended both Brenda and Cindy, hoping the punishment would finally teach them a lesson. Vince rushed toward his friends, his face tight with worry. Panic gripped him as he revealed that news about Heather was spreading like wildfire through the school. Jake remained composed, reminding Vince to stay calm and think things through. Then, with a sly smile, he shifted the conversation to the next Target store he planned to visit, asking where he might find Francine. Beneath that calm exterior, Jake still burned with anger over the cut on his face, quietly plotting how to make her pay for what she had done. Meanwhile, Francine stepped into a boutique to try on her wedding dress. Excitement lit up her face as she admired the gown draped perfectly on her. Lost in thoughts of her upcoming wedding, she never noticed the scars lurking nearby watching her every move. As Francine left the store, she noticed the scars were stalking her. They chased her through a deserted industrial area filled with abandoned buildings and dark alleys. Francine ran as fast as she could, desperately looking for a place to hide. But soon, she was cornered by the men. Terrified, she begged them not to hurt her, her voice trembling with fear. Jake, driven by anger, ignored her pleas. He lifted her up and threw her off the overpass spanning the Los Angeles River. This brutal act shocked Vince deeply. Although he was part of the Scars gang, he felt deep regret for what had happened. Horrified by Jake's actions, he realized how terribly wrong their choices were. Overcome with guilt, Vince decided to cut ties with the gang. He knew he could no longer be part of such cruelty. Later, Vince visited Heather in the hospital. He entered her room, where she lay unconscious, and quietly apologized, expressing his sorrow for everything that had happened. Vince's heart was heavy with guilt as he looked at Heather, wishing he could change what had happened. At that moment, Brenda arrived at the hospital and saw Vince talking to her unconscious sister. Anger surged through her when she heard him apologize to Heather. Without hesitation, Brenda shoved Vince against the wall, demanding to know what he had done. Vince was caught off guard by her sudden aggression. Struggling to break free, he pushed Brenda away and ran out of the room, sprinting down the hallway. That night, consumed by anger, Brenda went to a weapons store. She bought a crossbow and several bear traps. Later, Brenda risked entering a sparsely populated area of the city. She found the scars near an abandoned textile warehouse. Meanwhile, Jake grew suspicious that Vince might be talking, so he decided to end Vince's life. He told Fargo and Red to stay at the warehouse while he went after Vince. Jake found Vince borrowing money from a friend and then struck the man with his car, killing Vince. Jake escaped with the cash. Meanwhile, Brenda arrived at the warehouse. She taunted Fargo and Red, luring them inside. Brenda killed Fargo by shooting an arrow into his neck with a crossbow. Then she killed Red by snapping a bear trap around his throat. Afterward, Brenda waited for Jake to return. When he came back, he saw the bodies of Fargo and Red in the warehouse. Shocked, Jake began to look around. Brenda called him. Furious to learn she had killed his friends, Jake tried to shoot Brenda with a handgun. But she fought back by shooting him with a crossbow and tying his ankle with a rope, hanging him upside down. Brenda tortured Jake by stabbing him with a hunting knife, but he managed to free himself and fought back. Jake chased Brenda into a corner. She fled into a paint store. The alarm blared loudly. Brenda threw flammable paint at Jake and then set it on fire. The police arrived as Jake, badly injured, staggered out of the store and died shortly after. Brenda, Heather, and the surviving members of the Satins visited Francine's grave. Brenda said that at least they had done the right thing. Stevie replied that no, Brenda had done everything right. This marks the end of the film. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel for more exciting movie summaries. Subscribe and turn on notifications so you won't miss videos like this. Thank you for watching.